Hello everyone. In this video, I will talk about some of the troubleshooting procedures when you start to design the HMI application. So, one very common problem with the design is you couldn't find the PLC tag. So the HMI tag connection has some sort of problem. So let's look at it. So first, at the beginning, let's talk about how do we start the troubleshooting. All right. So up to this point, we have two softwares running in the same time on the computer. So we have Ars Logic 5000. That's the software we use to design the PLC ladder logic. That's over here. And also we have the FactoryTalk Visual Studio. So that's the software we use to design the interface. So when you start to troubleshoot with your system, you need to have both windows open in the same time. So you need to arrange them so you can see both windows. Like for example, right now I'm testing. You see here, that's the testing the display. So when you start to test display, you have button over here. So for example, you use your mouse to click the button on here, and then in the same time you can just check on the Ars Logic 5000 because it's a normally open push button. When you press it, it becomes closed and tag value become 1 and exam on become true. So that's what you're supposed to see when you are trying to test your HMI together with the Ars Logic 5000. Right? So just make sure you know this basic. Right? So you have both windows open. You need to look at from both sides of the design. Okay, so let's look into that tag connection problem. First, when test display, the caption doesn't show up, only show the error. So like over here, so this is what you design. So you design this, you already set up the color and also caption, you finish the design, and then you start going to view and select the test display. So once you start test display, you find out your button used to have my caption, my button on it, but you don't have that caption show up. That's error show. Only the error pop up. So the reason for that, probably you don't have the tag connection. So if you select edit display, you stop it, you change from the test, go back to edit, then double click this button. Once you double click this button, open this property window on here underneath the connections tab. Very likely you will see those two tag connection hasn't been set up correctly. So you need to press these two buttons to make the connection to the same PLC tag. Alright, so remember you need to have both connection together, right? So as one single same tag. And the other problem is that you're trying to set up the connection, but on the tag browser you couldn't find the tag you're looking for. So this is one type of problem. The other problem, you set up the tag, but when you try to run it, you will see this pop-up message. Right? So like for example, you're trying to press PB1, you keep seeing this error message pop up. So the reason for that is you have a bad PLC connection. For this problem, you need to go through 3 different steps. So go check step 1, step 2, and step 3. Usually you will fix the problem by going through these 3 steps. So let's look at them. So first, you need to make sure your PLC ladder logic is downloaded. So this is the tag browser. The tag browser can only look at the PLC connection within the PLC memory. So if you haven't downloaded yet, the tag browser will not see the tag. So that is the first one. So you make some new tag, but you haven't downloaded yet. You won't be able to see that on the HMI. Second, so after you download, you still can't find it. So remember, there's option here. You need refresh. So just right click here, any spot, and choose the refresh all folders. So this option will force the computer start to update all the tag connections. Then you should be able to see your tags on your right hand side. So this is the second step. Third step, so that's one common mistake. You need check the communication setup. Remember the 6 steps I mentioned on the lecture? So here's one. First, step 1, double click here. Open this window on the right hand side. So that is the window you open. And step 2, add the shortcut. But over here I have a notes on here. So if you already had the connection on here, you don't want to add a new one. Just keep using the old one. Alright, so don't add new shortcut. If you don't have any, add a new one. If you already have one, don't keep adding on it. Just keep using the same name. And this is step 2. Step 3. Step 3 is here. So you need to highlight this name and point to your PLC controller, not your HMI, PLC controller. So here's the IP address, and then slot 0. So that's the PLC. So that's on step 3. Step 4, apply. So once you set up the connection, the apply button will become solid. Press that button and confirm the pop-up. Step 5, copy from design to runtime. And step 6, click OK. So that is the 6th step. You have to go through them in the exact same order. You have to finish all. So otherwise you will have the problem again. So again, once you have the tag connection problem, go through these 3 steps. If you follow exactly the procedure, you should be able to fix the problem. Right. So let's look at other this is backup restore. That's in a different video where they finish. And let's look at other questions, some questions and answers. So very basic one, but I want to remind you. Sometimes you don't see all the information because you have here the slide bar, right? So remember that you need to slide those screw bars to see all the information. Same thing here. So when you set up the communication, sometimes you don't see all the information within here. So you need make the window bigger by maximizing it, or on the corner here, if you drag this on here, you can make this tag browser bigger to see that. All right. So also there are dividing bars. So if you put the cursor here, you can move the bar from left to right and make window bigger. Also, there's a common question when I download make a tag connection, why I'm seeing the name of somebody else's name? Because that's the program has been downloaded before, and your program will overwrite the existing one. So that's question 3. And question 4 is something. Sometimes when you try to work on the emulator, okay, so if you have the emulator on the computer, you're trying to browse that, you have to open this folder, not the Ethernet, not the same one as the B1024. Number 5, this error window. Every time after you download, you will see this error message. So try to press F5 or tap this button on the screen. So you will clear this window. And if it keeps pop up after you run that, you're gonna have some problem. So you have to go through the 3 steps to fix the tag connection. Number 6, when you have a numerical display, you always show the negative number. So for that, make sure the polarity connection is blank. Number 7 and number 8, these 2 questions both relate to the runtime file. So when you try to create a runtime file, there's one type of problem is with you have a pop-up text window. So that means you have the connection error, right? So there's no runtime to create it. So you have to fix the problem. For example, the communication path is not initiate. Again, go through those 3 procedures to fix the problem. The other type of problem is more serious. So if you see an error message window called cannot save the or update the tag server, then you have a big problem. So usually that means the software is crashed and you need to save your work and reboot the computer. And after you come to reboot and start menu and search, there's a patch file called rsrepair.exe. Try to execute that program and hopefully that will fix the problem. Number 9, and when you see a pop-up message, the destination select is not valid device. That's usually when you try to transfer your file into HMI. So that means because you didn't select the correct IP address, because you are trying to download to panel view, you need to use the IP address ended with digit 8. And after you transfer the application, when you start to run, sometimes you will see this message cannot open due to the version incompatibility. So that's the error message. Now that means when you create the runtime, remember there's a save as, right? The save as option should save as 5.10. The default, this is the correct one. The default is 6.10. You have to make change on that. This is right. This is incorrect. So that's the reason you see this incompatibility problem. Right. And the other message, you will see that when you start application, your application start to run, but this message, no screen is selected because you don't have the startup set up correctly. So the initial graphic should be your main screen. Question 12. Why the display on the panel view doesn't change after I modify the design? You modify your design, but the design on the panel view is the old one. So after you modify your design with the studio, you need to create and transfer the runtime file again in order to see that on the panel. Do I need to close my application before you back up and restore? Yes, that's something that some people always forget. Last one, when I test my application on the computer, why I cannot click and drag my HMI screen? So very likely you didn't have the title bar selected, so underneath the project setting. So I'll show you over here. So that is what I mean. So when you start to troubleshoot, over here you can see the blue bar on here. So that's the blue bar you can click and drag. Alright, so this is the troubleshooting procedures. Hopefully it's going to be very helpful for you. Alright.